Hi everyone, welcome back to the Soulful Cook, where I share with you some of my favorite vegan recipes. Today we're going to be making everyone's favorite finger food, crispy vegan tofu tenders. Now this recipe is gluten-free and oil-free. We're not going to be deep frying our tofu, we're going to be baking it instead, and it will be just as crispy. If you prefer the written version of this recipe, head over to my blog at thesoulfulcook.com. You can also view it in the description box below. Everything I used in this video is linked down below, and just remember, anytime you do purchase from those links, you are supporting this channel in a huge way, which will only help us share even more content with you. Now before we jump into the recipe, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Alright, let's make some tofu tenders. Here's everything you're gonna need to get started. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna press our tofu, and this is really important because we want to remove all the excess moisture from the tofu. This will help make sure it's extra crispy when we bake it. So I'm just placing my tofu in a thin kitchen towel, and then I'm just going to place a heavy object on top to add weight. If you have a tofu press, then you can use that as well. So as you can see, the kitchen towel is completely drenched, so we're just going to set that aside and we're going to start cutting up our tofu. So you can cut these in any shape or size you prefer. I'm going to cut them in stick type shapes. This will really give it that look of almost chicken tenders. So I have my 3 bowls ready, my almond milk, my corn flour, and my breadcrumbs. To my breadcrumbs, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of homemade Parmesan, which is totally optional. And then I'm just gonna mix that to make sure it's well combined. And then to my corn flour, I'm adding a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can also add a teaspoon of paprika if you want a little bit of heat. And then I'm just going to mix that to make sure it's nice and combined. So now I have my baking sheet lined with some parchment paper, and then I'm just going to take 1 piece of tofu. I'm going to dip it into the corn flour, make sure it's evenly coated, all sides of it as well. And then I'm going to dip that into the almond milk. And then finally I'm going to dip that into the breadcrumbs, and then I'm just going to make sure it's completely coated in the breadcrumbs, since this is where bulk of the flavor will come from. I'm just going to toss that around a few times and then transfer that to a baking sheet. And then you want to repeat the same steps for the remaining tofu. And that goes into the oven at 400 for 30 to 35 minutes. And there you have it, a super easy recipe for crispy vegan tofu tenders. If you're looking for more recipes like this one, head over to my blog at thesoulfulcook.com. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you do get notified every time I post a new video. If you ended up trying this recipe or any others, don't forget to tag at the Soulful Cook so I can check them out. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.